which is not normal because they're a pretty big team. I'm not sure why, because it's Battle for Atlantis, and I find it. I think the reason Carolina plays first is because like they're usually one of the bigger crowds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense.
So they want them to actually do the nightlife stuff. But I don't know. Either way, they played at noon. First half they were down 6, and I was like, dude, are we washed? Like, because last year we didn't make the NCAA tourney. Is this it? Like, we're playing Northern Illinois, Iowa. My bad. Like Northern Iowa, bunch of not bumps, but definitely a good mid-major, and we're down 6. Like, we're supposed to be them. We're supposed to be
You're
the
supposed to be
team.
like you're
Yeah,
the premier college basketball team of like the 2010s. I think you took that over from
yeah,
Syracuse and Illinois.
yeah. Like UConn is probably the only team in like our lifetime that is more like decorated than we are because we have 3 titles since I was born. Like Carolina's big deal, and I was like, this isn't good. And the Twitter comments were hilarious. Like I was reading them all because I was like, where a better place to go than the forums when a game is going wrong at halftime? And I went and read them, and people are saying like Duke fans are saying, I think you guys are in a worse position than we'll ever be, and like Hubert has ruined your program. It's over. And then we come out in the second half, and we were up 20 in the first 5 minutes. Like they made 5 threes in a row, bro. Like they couldn't miss. they
And then
they
all of a
let
sudden you're
Northern
right back
Iowa
into it.
yeah, they let Northern Iowa score 6 points in 10 minutes in the second half. Like I was like, bro, they were up 20. It was like 32-6 at the 10-minute mark in the second half, and right now they're up like 16 or something.
The second half adjustments are always real in college basketball.
Oh, it's
Every time.
insane. Also, they're playing in a convention center, and this is gonna sound like
Ah.
conspiracy theorist, but I noticed in the first half I noticed it. The back wall is farther back on the side we were shooting on, and it's closer on the side that we're shooting
So
on now.
with the clear backboards, you think it was messing with depth perception?
Yeah, I think that which happens a lot. Like a lot of people have that issue. You see guys who are insane in high school at shooting go to big old college stadiums and they can't figure out the depth perception to save their life.
Yeah.
Like, because I think the problem is, yeah, they just were not adjusting to it. I mean, it happens in the NCAA tourneys every year.
Yep.
That's why people hate football stadiums for basketball games. Because
Yeah, you lose
yeah,
that entire point of view.
yeah,
Speaking of people losing their point of view, welcome everybody to the Crossover Podcast, episode 101. Obviously, it's earlier. We're at a more European friendly time zone, which, according to the LCS, is the best way to grow viewership. I don't agree, but alas, here we are. There's a lot to talk about today. Uh, EMENES decided to go scorched earth. Obviously, this past Sunday, T1 won their fourth world championship total.
yeah.
Yeah,
Fourth.
fourth worlds. Faker's got his fourth ring. We've got roster moves across the LCS. 100 Thieves is finally locked in. We had 2 teams leave the LCS. That should be the bombshell news of the week, but yet it's not because of what's happening right now. We'll get to that. I just played on stream my video on YouTube on why dropping to 8 teams does not solve our problems. If you have not seen that video, I would highly recommend go checking it out before we have this discussion in a bit. But first, let's start with Mr. Toxicity himself. The reaction online has been wild today. Not like some LCS drama.
Yeah, I mean, I you can't say any of it's really wrong from what we've heard of M&S, and from what I've heard from basically anybody, like even people I've got to talk to that are involved in the scene, I have heard nobody say that he was a fun guy to be around in the European second leagues. Like I was told it was hilarious because he would show up like, you know, like hammered out of his mind and just cook everybody and then go back to his room or whatever, which I mean that is pretty impressive. It shows his skill, but it was also like really disheartening because a guy that talented would just tell people I don't care and not show up until game days and then pop off when he had to get paid.
And
Like,
I saw Rich like try and make a joke out of his issues there, and I want to make it
mhm,
clear. I don't like, despite how much I can't fucking stand what MNS did here, uh, it's not an excuse to use his own problems and his issues here. Like, you want to go at him as a player. Like, one of his points that he said was that LCS mids all suck, and it's like, bro, you are part of that. That was
mhm.
you. You're insulting yourself, but you take no accountability on it. Like, that type of stuff, fine to go after. But like the drinking issues, the personal problems, like, no, that there's a line to be drawn. You don't you don't use those against somebody in this situation.
Yeah. And I mean, MNS is probably like going to need this time away from League. Like, if there is a game that makes you, not to like put down the game, but League of Legends definitely feeds an addiction if you're an addictive personality.
Yeah.
And it's probably hard to get out of those, especially if you love League. Like, you can say things and become a person that you never thought you would become just because of your passion of this game. And that ranked ladder is like crack cocaine.
Yeah.
So, like, he probably did some of that, and you can't like excuse it. It's bad. It's gonna get him in trouble, and ultimately, it kind of made him, looks like for the most part, fall out of the scene, or at least fall to a level where nobody's willing to pay him enough for him to stick around.
That's the thing that amazes me is like I'd be curious to know, and this is where my issue lies with this
Mm.
entire thing that he posted. Had he got a job in the LCS next year, would he have posted this?
Yeah, probably no.
No, and that's my fucking problem
No.
with it. You want to talk all this shit? You want to like address these problems, call out Blabber, call out Fudge. You want to do all this? Fine. Fucking play. Like,
Yeah.
don't do like this is what I hate about league fans and league players trying to shit talk is like it's always post mortem. It's always shit talk once I'm leaving and once I'm done so that nothing can come back on me. And it's like, bro, okay. Yes, he went in on some players, and we'll get into that, but like the overall macro problems of like us not practicing in a good way, like general like motivation, even if people like Dr. Respawn have come out and disputed the claim on Blabber specifically. Like, we know those problems have existed for a long period of time. What I don't want is I don't want you fucking calling it out and then just dipping. Fucking, if you're gonna call that shit out, fine. Then come in and be like, I'm gonna work harder than you. And then I'm gonna do everything that I'm saying that you are not doing, I'm gonna do and do better. Which is exactly why I love the Team Liquid messaging from earlier in the year of we are gonna
Mhm.
work harder than everybody else. We are gonna do all these things that make us better, and they miss playoffs. And it's like, okay, so how'd that work out for you? Like,
Yep.
if
I mean,
if Blabber and Fudge are being as lazy as you're saying that they're being, and they still kicked your ass doing that, that's all. Like, you can say it's on Blabber and Fudge, but they still won.
yeah.
Like,
And I don't know, like, I don't know what in his mind this was going to accomplish because I don't think that anybody saw Blabber, like especially Blabber. When he roped in Blabber, like if he would have left it at Fudge, he might have won like the die-hard Fudge haters over. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like even them would have been like, okay, bro, you definitely weren't better than Fudge on the roster. But going after Blabber was like, bro, he definitely wasn't the weakness
no,
at any international event you went to. And the fact that he was headhunting those two of all things was like crazy to me. Now, granted, in his mind, this is like a who cares if I burn bridges because I'm done with League type of thing. But I'm kind of surprised he did that because Ole went to the military, came back, kind of had a mental change, and now we're gonna see if he's better than ever type of deal.
yeah,
Like, dude got rank 1, so basically he's done with League. Like,
yeah.
unless he just gets a job in LCK somehow
Well, he
after
said
the
he's not coming
military
back to League. Said that he's done.
at
Done.
all.
That's what. Yeah, that's why he posted it. And it's like,
Yeah, that's
I
crazy.
I can't stand that. I really can't. You got a problem with something? Fine. Fucking speak up. work to fix it. Like, I don't mind that. It just bugs the shit out of me that people post this shit and it's like, peace out, I'm done. It's like, it's internet culture to the fucking fullest. Of like, you wouldn't say this to my face, so I'm gonna say it online.
Mhm.
Which, knowing EMENES, he might have actually said it to their face for all we know. But
Yeah, he probably did. If we're being honest, he probably said all this, and then when he went full scorched earth, he did this. He put it all really public. But I mean, this honestly would have gone nowhere if, like, none of us would have known this happened. Probably unless it was pointed out by some of the more popular people in the community. But
I
I
mean,
mean,
the second it kind of went up on Reddit, I had 3 people in my DMs immediately messaging me like, "Hey, this is happening."
oh, is
Just like,
Reddit where everybody found it from?
yeah, somebody. Well, it was on like I don't know if it was Weibo, uh, or what platform it was
Whatever
on.
Reddit is in
Yeah,
Korea
but
and China.
he
Okay.
was doing like an AMA there. It got translated and immediately posted to our Reddit. And the second it hit our Reddit, like obviously it blows up from there. Like there's no
Mhm.
once it
Yeah,
hits
yeah.
the league
Then never
subreddit.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was gonna be popular. I mean, it's pretty enticing drama. Like, I mean, obviously your tweet like completely
Yeah.
popped off, so it's enticing. People love this type of stuff, but
I just wanted to make it clear in
it's
that tweet that like my opinion is that like you shouldn't have fucking said. And I think I didn't want to be labeled
yeah,
as like the Jake Lucky type because everybody was already talking about it. But I hadn't seen anybody post the screenshots of it on Twitter, which is like
yeah, yeah,
surprising. I was like, okay, let's see it. Let's talk about it.
yeah. And I mean, realistically, I don't know where he goes from here. I mean, obviously he does military like in that mindset, but if he does want to come back, which is crazy to say, I don't plan on going back to something you love in 2 years. You don't know what you're gonna do in 2 years.
No.
You don't know where your head's gonna be. Nobody really does. You can take good guesses and you can set goals to get to that spot, but then all of a sudden, like I was saying, League, pretty addictive. You leave the military, you play a couple games, you're right back where you started. Like, and yeah, what the comment that was just put in here, Marn Media, is exactly what we were talking about. Like,
Yep.
he made real points. He
Yep.
made real points that deserve real discussion. But he also, like, the LS comment is just gonna ruin it all
Oh
for me.
yeah.
Like, if we're being honest. And the way he said it, because uh, is it true you need definitive like info and you need something that is evidence of things? Yes. But picking LS for that just seemed odd because I feel like LS does do a lot of evidence-based like practical stuff. So it seemed weird. Like if there's one gripe you can have on LS, I've never heard anybody say, "Man, he doesn't show enough data behind his like builds." Because
Yeah.
that man like loves the math and the data of them and he shows it. So it just seemed odd to me. But dropping that, like if NA pros aren't doing that, if they aren't like trying to find weird builds and stuff, I can see how that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Like especially if you really want to win.
And we know that that doesn't happen. Like we do
Yeah,
not see any level of like unique counter picks in the LCS relative to other regions. That's
yeah,
been the case for a while now. So like that's not when he says that it's like I know everyone's like, "Oh, he's right. He's right." It's like okay? Like we've known this. Like it's not new. Like what he's saying is not new. And yes, we have those endemic problems that we have to fix. That luckily NRG being champions, and I'm glad, you know, despite everything else that happened in the post, he called out NRG for being like the good guys in this scenario. And it's like good. I mean, sure, that's the one like light at the end of the tunnel on this, but
yeah,
then everything else is like, dude, I get it, but like, what are you gonna do? Like this is my point and the reason why I made my video earlier today is like the LCS dropping to 8 teams doesn't change anything. The rosters that we're seeing in the LCS might lead to some change, but like we haven't seen the bottoms up foundational changes that have to happen in order for that type of stuff to occur. It hasn't happened yet. So it's not going to be fixed anytime soon.
yeah. And I I don't know if NA plans to fix it because they just got rid of probably one of the most experimental guys, APA. Like I know. Let's
We'll
getting the
save that
summit.
for two
Yeah.
two two more minutes, and then we'll get into that.
Shelving the argument that he is Zig's one trick and putting that back for later, right? Back there with some of my books. And we can I think APA was actually a pretty unique champion guy. Not saying he played him the best, and that's probably a different debate, but he had unique stuff and Insanity did. Seeing APA leave kind of sucks because that takes out one of our unique guys. But Insanity's still in the league. He has unique picks. Uh I don't know, like who's C9 game JoJo is always pretty like JoJo just plays what he wants.
Yeah. And
Like
he did
so
notably call out, I think, JoJo, Berserker, Impact, Yawn, and I forget who else he called out. But he said that they're like actual grinders that do have those unique counter picks that do everything that you're saying that you would want them to do.
he's probably right. Yeah, I'm not even gonna I don't think it's worth going. But he's yeah, I don't know. He's a weird one. MNS is like I just think it's weird because I was thinking about it and every name you named was like, yeah, they probably work really hard, but he also like he has a weird affliction with like, I don't know, he does not like Europeans.
Yeah.
Didn't he mention Inspired though?
Yeah, he
Or
mentioned
he
Inspired. Inspired was like the only European player that he mentioned that like he gave
yeah.
props to.
So he isn't the worst. Like there's worse than I guess. I don't know. It's just a weird one. And I don't know how you go about it because he definitely has some gripes with people. I mean he went pretty hard after Blabber, which is an interesting guy to pick. And I don't know, like
I just going after Blabber is nuts to me.
crazy.
Like that.
Face of the league.
I mean, you want to, that's fine, but like, okay, you mentioned it. I want to get into it on APA versus Summit. Oh fucking boy, dude!
Yeah,
The gall of Summit to go at the guy that comes in and literally saves your season because he had like, wasn't his first game like Cassiopeia or some shit? Like he comes in and immediately plays like a counter pick in mid lane, and then he's playing Ziggs to the point where Ziggs is getting banned against them. Like, I get you might think he's a one trick, and he does need to develop his champions elsewhere, but he's literally got what, like 4 or 5 weeks of LCS play, and then Worlds, and that's it. How the fuck you gonna flame him as he comes in? That's the whole point. He's supposed to come in and get better as time goes on and expand that champion pool and take some of those counter picks that he has and like actually make him LCS caliber. Like the fact that he doubles down twice on like APA basically being shit when going back to that semifinals against fucking NRG. I get APA did not have like the greatest series. Like obviously, Palafox smurfed on everybody in playoffs, to be clear. But who was responsible for the series losing play? Summit. It's like, oh my god. And then you go to Worlds and like, who was the clear weak links in the series versus GAM? Like you can argue, yeah, APA's champion pool wasn't great. Sure. But, like, I'm sorry, that doesn't give you an excuse to run it down. If anything, if his champion pool was an issue, what would have played out is he would have gotten pummeled in mid lane, and every other lane around him would have collapsed. But no, top lane and jungle also collapsed. That has nothing to do with APA, despite his issues. Like, I don't get it. I really don't. And I still think, at least in my eyes, it's also a coaching responsibility thing here. Because we saw early on when he came in that he's willing to try different things, and then that just goes away rather than like trying to develop it. It's like what I think happened, if I had to place a guess, is he comes in, his champions aren't all that clean, which is to be expected. But they decide in scrims, okay, this is our best chance at winning, so we're going to stick to these things. And then that comes back to bite him in the ass 2 months later because you've only practiced those specific things. And then
Yeah.
it's like, well, now he's got nothing, but we also didn't invest any time to actually like allow him to overcome those issues, allow him time to develop. Meanwhile, my dude doesn't even get fucking consideration in his champion select at all, doesn't get to communicate with his team, doesn't get any of the normal things that you should get for being on a fucking pro team, and you're gonna call
Mhm.
him out? Kindly go fuck yourself. Seriously, dude.
Mhm.
Sorry, that was a lot, but
I mean, you basically said everything I could say other than like it's also like kind of ironic that Summit is the one calling him a one trick when Summit is literally known for being the Gnar guy. Like, and that's it. Like, he's stuck with Gnar. Not that he is the best Gnar in the world, just that he's stuck on Gnar because
yeah.
he can't figure other things out. Like,
His rumble
I
was
don't know.
atrocious.
Yeah, it's just awkward. It's awkward listening to him. Maybe Summit will prove him wrong and he'll go somewhere else in the world because I certainly hope no an A team keeps sitting with him because at
No.
this point he can go somewhere else and play League and figure it out. But I don't know what they wanted APA to do. They wouldn't talk to him. So, like, let's go through EMENES' list of things that we must do better. We need evidence. We need evidence that he sucks at these champions. They don't let him play them, so we can't even see if it's really real that he sucks at them. So there's problem one. Problem two. We need, what was it he said? Communication. Communication. And you shouldn't make fun of somebody if they can't speak English. And you probably, for at least a North American team, shouldn't make fun of someone who can't speak Korean. That would probably make sense. But we're at that problem two. And then problem three that Evanes had was, do they work hard enough? Well, considering APA had like 5 billion games
Yeah.
of solo queue, I think he was working hard. I I mean, I can't tell you if it was up to the par of what M&S and Summit's council of are they practicing correctly is, but we'll leave it to their council. And I'm gonna have a guess that half the council thinks he doesn't practice correctly. And it's like, so what do you want? What do you want? You can't talk to him. Like literally, you can't. They could not speak to him. His coaches were telling him he couldn't play stuff because they didn't want to tilt the other players on the team, and they're probably telling him that in English, and nobody else but like Jan and Core knew that it was being said. So the two of them don't even really know that he's being told, "Hey, don't play it," so they don't tilt, type of deal.
Yep.
So at that point, what do you have him do? Like, what do you want from him? They are replacing him, right?
We don't know yet, but I'm assuming.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
assuming. There's no like either Summit's gone or APA is gone. Like it
If
has to be one.
APA is gone, do you think like a FlyQuest puts him as a sub or an Immortals? Maybe not an Immortals because they have
They
Mask,
have
right?
Mask now. I
They
don't.
gotta let Mask flourish. You
I
can't let a
think.
rookie have pressure.
I think as Hunter Thieves, I think we pick him up.
Okay,
I think he makes the most amount of sense on Hunter
that makes
Thieves, and like
sense.
you
Hmm.
let him and Quid fight for the spot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. You guys won't probably do that because of money, but it would make
I mean,
sense.
if we just put him on like an academy contract and then just like split
True,
time,
true,
like
true.
I'm sure you could.
Closer, like with a Z. Closer.
Wait, closer
Closer
is
with
that
Z,
LPL closer
I
or
think.
LCK closer? Because I heard
Yeah,
Umti.
LCK.
I heard
I haven't
Umti was
seen
coming in.
Closer play. I haven't seen that name in forever. He was like SKT, right?
Live Sandbox the past 2 years.
Has he? Oh, he does. He has played for them.
Yeah, he was on T1. Uh, from as he was
Is
a
that the
T1
same team with
sub.
their other guy, Umti or something? Where'd they get Umti from? Bro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean but that was also the rumor last year, so I don't know if
Oh, Some people are saying, okay, everyone's different on it.
I
Some
don't
are
know.
saying it could be him. Some are saying The only account that said it is a troll
Here, okay.
account.
You know what I fucking don't get? This is bugging the shit out of me. Team Liquid, okay? All their talk of like, oh, we're coming back into Academy, we're, doing our best to promote North American talent, which is good for the scene. I'm not gonna fight that at all because I like what they've done and they've produced some pretty good players. And that, bro, what's with your LCS roster construction? I don't fucking get it. Like, how are you gonna sit here and constantly say that you believe in North American infrastructure and want to help us promote, and then you do the one thing that you shouldn't be fucking doing, which is just like constantly rotating import talent over and over and over and over and over again. It's like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
I guess in their minds, it's because Harry did great. They promote him. He stinks. Ayla does great. They send him somewhere else. He stinks. Jan did great, came up and worked out. So in their head, they're like, oh, we keep developing talent and it's not really panning out the way we'd imagine. But their backup plan to that has been, let's go grab like, give me a sheet. And they go down to like the eighth best mid or jungle or top in LCK. And they go, yep, 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 yep. And they give him a call and they pay him a lot of money, and then they do like what an eighth best player in any league would do, which is they probably won't win you the region, but they're gonna be pretty good over here. Like that's so far what's happened to them every time they do this.
And it's like,
And
how do you not cheer for them to lose at this point? It's just like, come
yeah,
on. Like, APA gave me a reason to cheer for TL.
mhm,
Same thing with Yawn. But like, if the roster rumor truly is going to be like Impact, Closer, Yawn, Core JJ, I'm not sitting there looking at that roster like, yeah, you made a fan out of me on that one. Same thing
this
as
is
before. I can't,
exciting.
like, the majority of your content's just going to be them learning fucking English again.
I mean, yeah.
Which, like,
Which that
sure.
poor guy is Ben, right?
Yeah,
That poor dude Ben, bro.
I know.
He's getting put through the ringer every year for no reason.
I'm genuinely curious to see if NRG continues to pop off, because their Hot Wing like video was really, really fun to watch. And them doing the exact opposite of Team Liquid, but yet
Mhm.
Steve always being the one to come on the shows and like try and be the face of things. Like, I could see a really, really quick heel turn against Steve and TL if they go this route and it doesn't work out again.
Yeah.
And I'll help lead it.
I mean, well, the hilarious part of all this, and since I'm a TSM fan, I watch it and I just go, what's going on? And I tell you this all the time in DMs. It's like watching people still like try to blame other people for the massive rosters, like the massive budgets on rosters. Like I was reading the Reddit thread on the Hotline League, and people were saying like, I mean, Steve's sitting in here talking about how like fiscal responsibility is coming to the league when he was the guy who brought the fiscal non-responsibility. Which then I saw the argument back was, well, yeah, but he could afford it. So is it really his fault that other teams couldn't? And I'm like, I mean, still, yeah, like him driving up prices that high just inevitably made other teams go, all right, we're just going to go get a massive budget in VCs like he did,
Yep.
and we're going to try to drive prices up because that was the only way they compete with each other. Which then we saw C9 pay Perks like a dumb amount of money, and we saw TSM pay Sword Art a dumb amount of money right after Steve was doing all these massive Disney contracts.
Yep.
Which, if you're certain people in this scene, the Sword Art one is the only one that matters
But
because that's the one that pisses people off. But either way, like that was what happened. And then who was that Academy team that like I
oh,
gotta
I don't know,
remember?
but they were
It
like
was
paying.
Ember.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ember was paying stupid money too, but I don't blame Ember because they were playing for an Academy team, and like that's not really what did it. It was your top three orgs, at least at the time, was TL, TSM, C9. All of them got into bidding wars on who could you know, put their dick on the table and out alpha each other on a roster.
The thing that I also like, I don't blame players that were in academy for taking absurdly high salaries. Why would you not?
No, not
Why
at
why
all.
would you not? That's just like, it's stupidity on the
Oh,
org's part of being willing to pay that amount of money to just fucking pigeonhole yourself for an absurd amount of time. Like, that's on 100 Thieves, that's on Cloud9, that's on TL. You did this to yourself. You brought this on. Yes, Riot forced the academy rule where everybody had to pay academy salaries, but you could have paid minimum and just paid 35 or 35,000 for 70K each of 5 players, and that's it. And that's not all
yeah.
that much. That's all, like, it back then whenever you had a fuck ton of money to work with, that was nothing. That was a drop in the bucket that also helped to develop talent. Now that we don't have anything, it's like now players are going to be lucky to get like 5K, 10K a year.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh. But I do want to note two things that were worth saying in chat. Uh Gotcha it on YouTube noted that Umti is fluent in English, which that is really good. That
Okay,
will help
that's
out
good.
with content drastically. And also some discussions in chat of double lift possibly coming back to Team Liquid and Yawn being out.
That's a real thing.
I don't know whether it is or not, but apparently he's
I
hinting at it.
mean,
Double lift has also been abnormally quiet
I
about like
think
where he's
he
playing, what
is
he's doing.
kind of better than he played better than Jan last year.
I would say so, yeah. His team around him was crumbling,
I
but
know, I know, and I'll be the one to say this, so we don't have to have you get right through the polls again on double his rating in the LCS ADC pool. But I think he was a pretty good ADC. I'd at least put him top five, you know,
yeah.
top five half. And I think Jan definitely has a peak that might not put you like, I don't know. I don't think Jan is gonna win you, you know,
Not yet.
may take you far in Worlds
Yeah,
or
not yet.
MSI.
He's
Yeah,
still
he
young.
definitely has some things to work out. And I mean, if they moved Jan to their academy team, I wouldn't be too like worried about it. And uniting Double Lift and Core JJ together is good, but I am interested if Double Lift can play the whole year
Why you say that?
because I think every team he's been on has hit a point where he's gone. I'm done. That's literally what he does. Like it's almost like the a joke, like from I think you should leave. Like he does one of those. He just goes, "No, I'm good." When they're like, "No, like we need to practice. Like we could win it all this year." And he goes, "No, not everyone's good at everything." And he just decides, like after a worlds, like some foreign ADC smacks him, and he goes, uh, "Have you ever thought about life? You know, like why are we here?" And a team goes, "What are you talking about? We just pay you to play League." And he's like, "You watch their hands; they're so fast. It doesn't make sense." And he's just staring out a window, like talking, listening to the ocean waves, going, "It just doesn't make sense. They move so quick. They flash before you even know what you want to do." And they're like, "No, like Peter, you just have to win." And he's like, "Who knows?" And he's just walking away. So I don't know. Like I don't know if it work out. I mean, they could come back together. I feel like him and Core had a tough ending. I feel like that was a very awkward ending,
Yeah.
and they're gonna have a real sit down, maybe. Or Core's just a really forgiving guy, and he
I get
doesn't
the
care.
feeling that Core is like a very, like, he doesn't care. It's just like, show
Yeah,
up, do your fucking job, and like, as long as you're willing to grind, you're willing to grind. And it's like,
but
if that really is the roster, oh man, then what do you do? Because like, I still don't agree for the most part with the roster construction, but
no, yeah, closer's a weird pick for mid.
closer on like, but are you gonna
Maybe I missed it.
are you
Maybe
gonna
he's
cheer
really good.
against Impact, Impact Core JJ double lift just because like TL's doing the TL thing and bringing in Umti and closer.
I mean, it's just hard to. It's not hard to cheer for them because like Core JJ is a likable guy, and so is Impact. Like they've done a lot for the scene,
Yeah.
but it's hard. It's definitely like just. It's another thing of like who are these imports that you keep getting from, and I looked up their standings, and I know standings don't mean everything, players can become better, blah blah blah, but so far for TL, the standings of the players they grab has pretty well translated to where the team goes, if not worse. They get worse standings with
Yeah.
the players they grab, and Liv peaked at 6th place in spring, and they did worse in summer, and then Bro got 8th twice in a row. So it's not like they're grabbing players from, superstar teams. They're grabbing prodigies. These are prodigies more than anything else.
And also, I wasn't impressed with Core JJ's play this year at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. So like what I just don't understand about this is like I'd be willing to bet that one of those two boomerangs at the end of this year and probably goes back if I had to place a guess. It's like
Hmm.
we've talked about it before, but like where's the roster design philosophy of like if you're gonna import young, take away the the like the prodigy talents like a berserker type, but like import like we've seen this exact thing of importing over and over again.
Mhm.
And regardless of whether it wins or not, it's not going to be inspiring at all. Like the only two rosters that I like look at and I'm genuinely excited like for long-term prospects of their orgs, Cloud9, NRG, well, I'd say more than that. Cloud9, NRG, FlyQuest, I
Mhm.
think have those pillars. I might not like the Jensen move, but even FlyQuest is a little bit iffy, but it's like I don't know. Cloud9's really I guess Cloud9 NRG really are just like it for me. Like they're the two teams from what we've been hearing that like I genuinely just want them to win the league.
I think TL is going to have like a good roster for possibly being like the underdog of all the, or the black horse, I guess is better to call it.
Dark
Dark
horse, yeah.
horse. Well, now they're going to clip that. I'm canceled. But they're, the
Okay,
dark horse,
okay, Matt Rife.
like, yeah, but they, yeah, that really threw me off for a second. I didn't think about that. Well, Matt Rife did double down in kind of a weird way, but
He did. He
I'll
did.
shelf that. I'll shelf that. But the dark horse is definitely them, and I don't know how far they're gonna go. Like, it's a weird roster. It's kind of a roster that has some washed pieces and some unknowns, and that doesn't really excite you. It doesn't hype you up. And the problem is one of their pieces is a guy who everywhere he goes just kind of pisses off the fans of the org he's in when he leaves because he leaves weirdly.
Yeah, every
Like that's
time.
what Double Lift does. He leaves really oddly. This time I think he's doing better than most times with 100 Thieves. Like he
Yeah,
hasn't said, I don't know if he said anything bad.
not yet.
I From what I've seen, he hasn't said anything that would piss off a 100 Thieves fan. But usually he leaves awkwardly and it doesn't really like make a ton of sense. Or like he does something that just, pisses off the fan base. Like for TSM, I don't think he said anything bad. He just kind of like wouldn't play in
Yeah.
spring, which is kind of a big deal because we were trying to win. and the fact that we had Wild Turtle half the year and Double Lift the other half was, pretty annoying when your roster's at its peak. Like that's not fun. And then for CLG, he just kind of left and was like kind of letting people know he wanted to leave out the door. And at TL, he literally just stopped playing one day and then started running it down a little bit. And it was awkward. So I don't think he's really done good things or he's had good leaves. But I'm sure TL fans will take him back if he wins.
Probably.
And I know I say that every time about somebody, but people take it back with open arms if you win.
I see some people calling out that they also like Shopify Rebellion in chat, and I'll
They are.
agree that I'm excited. Like obviously as a 100 Thieves fan, I'm incredibly excited to see 100 Thieves play as well. But like, th- these are not teams that you expect to contend for a title. And
No.
like that's the difference is like I'm expecting, whether we like this or not, the the top 4 teams to be Cloud9, FlyQuest, NRG,
Mm.
Team Liquid. Those are the 4 that stand a realistic chance in my mind of actually winning the
Mhm.
title this upcoming year. That speaks volumes to a certain extent, but I don't know. The bottom 4 still do excite me, at least as of 100
Yep.
Thieves, Shopify. We don't have to. I mean, now it's just Immortals and Dignitas. Dignitas doesn't really do anything for me as of yet, and Immortals definitely not. At least
I
so
mean,
far.
yeah, Fly, like what? Fly is I guess they're the other dark horse. You put them with TL. Like
Yeah,
they're that kind of roster. They could pop off, they could not. Like, but who is it? 100 Thieves is like your underdog. They're a true underdog.
yeah.
Like that is a young roster, not a lot of experience, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see where they go. I low key think uh that NRG kind of upgraded. I like the move they made.
I do as well.
I
As
know,
long
like,
as him and FBI can regain their form together.
yeah, I think I think who he's really interesting there, and he definitely is a. We've already talked about that, but he's a doer, and that's what helps that roster.
Yep.
And then, I mean, Diggs is just kind of it's a thing.
Yeah,
Immortals is also an interesting roster, like it's a thing, but Immortals is like kind of. I know we were talking to or Charlie talks in the Discord with us,
yeah.
but Loki Immortals is like kind of they're winning me back type of deal this year.
Although they
Like,
did do the one thing that I don't like, but because I don't like the player, it didn't irk me as much because I was just more laughing than anything. Fucking tagging Immortals Progressive by name in the fucking goodbye like thank you treats tweet. Like,
yeah,
come on, Charlie, brother. You know how I
I mean
feel
he
about
has to
that.
do
I
it.
can't.
He has to do it.
I know it's contractually obligated to fucking post those. Like,
He
I
has to
know.
do it.
And Charlie even put in chat, like, we had to. I get it. You had to tag Immortals.
Yeah.
I know. Who do I have to bitch slap in a boardroom to get them to fucking understand that you don't sign deals that put a brand on a goodbye tweet? You just say goodbye and pay respect to the
But,
freaking players. Like,
it's
oh my
funny.
god.
It's
It's
kind of funny.
I know it's hilarious knowing on the other side of it that Charlie's
Yeah.
just sitting there like there's no way he's thinking of me when he's tweeting this, but like in the back of the mind, it's like, man, I'm gonna get shit for this from somebody for tagging
But it's
a
funny.
progressive. But at the same time, it's funny. It's like, oh man,
It it's like it makes me chuckle only because imagine if like people when they left a company to go to their next company like said, "Hey, I'm quitting this to go to this," and they put a little photo of themselves and then put a tiny emblem of like, "I'm quitting FedEx or Disney Plus," and it
yeah,
says just a little Disney Plus logo at the
yeah,
bottom.
that'd be great.
Like, they're like, "Huh?" The company's like, "What are you doing?"
Or imagine
And
like,
then your next picture is, and I'm going to this, and it's a big logo of the
yeah,
new company.
it's just I feel so bad for the social media people that have to do it, that are required to. And like
Yeah, it's
I hope
just
nobody like I really laid into 100 Thieves, like obviously
mhm,
because I care about them more than others. And I hope the
yeah,
people from the social media team didn't take it personally.
yeah,
Like I know you're doing your job and doing what you have to. Me calling that out is not me calling you out. It is on the management and people that are like the ad sales team that is signing these
yeah,
deals to not force a clause in there. I don't care if the brand wants it. There are certain things that you just simply don't do for the sake of protecting what I would call brand image. It's what Hitch's role now is within Optic, where like anything that goes out, and this is like the Kevin Feige rule. Well, I do not want to speak on Disney. I'm trying to think of a better example that's literally external. Uh, fucking the John Needham rule within Riot.
Mhm.
Everything that goes out on behalf of Lowly Sports gets run through him, and he has to make ultimate decisions. That person is responsible for making sure that a certain brand image is maintained. And the
Yeah.
person at Immortals, the person at 100 Thieves, the people doing that job of signing these deals is not thinking about their brand long term. They're only
Yeah.
thinking about the money. And even if they are thinking about the brand and are saying, like, maybe I shouldn't, but I got to make concessions, I'm sorry, but like, those are things that you shouldn't be making concessions on. If you need to take smaller amounts of ad revenue, then you take smaller amounts of ad revenue. I just don't think branding wise it's a smart idea. And if I was in a team that ever did that, like, I would be profusely apologizing immediately afterwards for fucking that up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I don't have like a ton I can really add to that. I was just more like I liked that Immortals was doing, the kind of promoting the league,
Yeah, no, that was
during
nice.
Worlds.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Shout out to
But
Charlie for
I
that
will
one, by the way.
say,
I don't know if that was all
yeah,
him, but I know he's the one
yeah.
tweeting it. Shout out to Charlie. Doing a good job.
And like I will say, Dave, you want fiscal responsibility in League of Legends,
I
then your
know.
goodbye promos are gonna have to be fiscally responsible. And if we gotta say goodbye to somebody and then maybe in the corner put an emblem of the
Nah,
company.
nah. Nah. The I get that I preach fiscal responsibility and like
Mhm.
making sure that we drive revenues up as much as we can, but there's a right and a wrong way to do that. And there's
And
no way that you are making that big of a difference in money that you're bringing in from 5 goodbye tweets a year
yeah,
to
it's true.
affect your deals that much.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry, but no. There like
And
you have to blend the two of growing fiscally and being responsible to your brand image.
and what also I think hurt the 100 Thieves one, and why you talked about it more than you probably had to about the Immortals one, was that you also just put a graphic up. Like you should have just waited till you had a video ready for closer, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like not putting a video up for him kind of sucked, and we don't have to beat a dead horse. But it's just like
Like to be
I
fair,
don't know.
treats I entirely understand. I don't think that's worth a video. Like at least in my mind.
Yeah,
He was there
yeah,
for a year. Thanks, goodbye, adios, have fun. Uh
yeah,
like sure. Closer literally won you a championship. He was
yeah.
crucial to the org that it's like it that's one where it just feels so bad to not have it there. And they still haven't put it out. And I don't think I mean they said they might or are going to, but we're already so
Mm.
far past that point that it's like I
And
don't know.
yeah,
I
I
get
mean
all publicity is good publicity to a certain extent, but
it's tough for them because like there's not a ton. I feel like the brand guys can do, and they probably know it's gonna be a weird look to put that little logo there, and then also just put a PNG out of one of your most important guys. But and then they have to deal with the backlash and try to fix it. But somebody in the org was looking at him and was like, "Put it out. Why aren't you putting it out? Like
yeah.
we need to put out this goodbye tweet. We're not keeping him." And it's like, yeah, but can you give us like a couple more days?
Yeah.
You know?
That's the thing that amazed me is like you didn't have to put the graphic out right then and there.
Yeah, no.
Because like the contract deadline doesn't even open up until yesterday.
Or just
So like,
don't include him.
yeah, simple as that. Like don't include
Yeah,
them, like include everybody else and then like have that separate video in the same way that they did for Someday who was there from the beginning.
yeah, yeah. Because the the decision they made was just really awkward, and I know like they're in a weird time right now because they've had a lot of layoffs. They probably don't have an editor to make a video for for him. But like at that point, just bro, call up Fiverr and pay somebody $15 to
You could
make a
probably do
closer
5.
edit. Yeah, to do a closer edit and call it a day because it's like you got to do something. You can't just like dump one of the most important pillars of your organization into LOL. Like the way they did it, but I mean, it's life. Like, it's just how it is at this point. I mean, I'm pretty used to
Yeah.
my team disappointing me right now. So when I see other people's teams disappoint them, I just go, nice. 'Cause I'm
Char-
like,
and Charlie had a great point in chat. He's like, his general rule is over a year video, under a year tweet. I think that's fair.
yeah,
I mean, I even think there's some leeway within that. If it's like a year and a half, like maybe even then I still don't do a video. But if somebody wins you a championship, zero excuse to not have a video. Simple as
yep.
that. Like that, just rule of thumb. Somebody wins you or brings
Mhm.
you a significant moment in your org's history, you make a fucking video.
Yeah,
That's
just
it.
make a video. Feels nice and looks clean. And I mean, some guys do deserve it. Like they do important things for your org. But I don't
Here,
know.
here's
I did. What were you gonna
well,
say?
I was gonna have a follow-up question on that. Golden Guardians and Evil Geniuses were technically in the league for over a year. Did they deserve a goodbye video?
Riot? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, because I mean, if TSM got one after all the things TSM allegedly did, I'm joking, by the way, I'm just joking, but they did. I feel like you could make a goodbye video for EG and GG, especially GGS. They just like had a pretty good year, probably their best year. Like, you could give them something,
You could at
but
least for Golden Guardians, like there is actually like a decent story to be told there of just like if I'm Riot at this point, like they're leaving. You've already paid them to like get out of the league. So like you don't have to worry about protecting their brand image or anything else like that. If I'm making the Golden Guardians video, I'm making a video that's just like scorching management or not management, but ownership and being like, this is the team that nobody gave any resources to, that nobody gave a fuck about, but the bald headed wonder was able to do it and, you know, bring the brand to
mhm.
quite frankly one of like the top orgs in the league in terms of performance last year, and finally like getting on a pathway to building a brand just for like the orgs to cut them out again. And for that, we say adios. And they could have made a goodbye video to EG that was just Danny highlights the entire time.
Yeah, that's the awkward part of the EG one. Like, how do you make a video for them? Like, cause
No,
I don't.
I got it. You do nothing but give Warren Buffett inspirational quotes for 5 minutes.
Yeah, cause, cause like the TSM video, at least like our players are like degens enough that they would come back and be like, "I liked him yelling at me. It made me feel good because I wanted to win so bad." But you can't get Danny to go back and be like, "Yeah, I loved it. I loved every second of it." Like he just doesn't want to do that.
Yep,
Like so, it's it's kind of awkward. Like
it
I
is.
don't know. It's not. I don't know what they plan to do. I mean, I was shocked TSM even got a goodbye video. I know you had to
Yeah.
because they helped build the league, but at the same time, it's like I feel like they left a little awkwardly,
How do,
and I feel like the other two have well, EG has left a little awkwardly.
well, let me ask you. Let me ask about that. Do you feel like the treatment of EG leaving the LCS was fair given the treatment
You
of
you
TSM
already
leaving the
know.
LCS?
You already know what I'm gonna say.
I just want to hear. I don't know what you're gonna
I
say fully.
mean, I would say I've had enough time to process. Right, I've had time to really sit back and look. I think that the good riddance was a little lower than I was expecting for EG. I thought EG was going to get pretty hard hated on. Now it could be just my ex not pushing variable stuff on my home feed because that does happen. Like I've realized I miss a lot of stuff
Yeah, the new
because
algorithm is a little weird in that
yeah,
front.
it's a little wonky right now. It doesn't really get you in your circles as well as it was, and they'll fix it. But I just didn't see that much, and I was kind of surprised. I saw Valorant people really hate EG. Like Valorant
Yeah.
people, they're ready to swing. Like my brother too. My brother last night we were talking because we were watching Pacers game, most points ever scored in the franchise era, by the way, and we won, 157 to 153.
Dang.
They they it was like one of those. He was saying like, yeah, EG is like super hard hated. in Valorant. Like everybody knows they were the problem, like they're an issue and they're gonna go and we're excited. Like people are excited to see somebody replace them. And my brother's a huge Sun fan. And I was like, well, what are you gonna do? You don't have any money, you idiot. And he goes, doesn't matter. He's like, who cares? And he's like, and I blame you, we don't have money. And I went, why? He said, because we have Lena, TSM exec. He's like, there's
Oh
nobody
my.
around to fix us. He was like, we
Oh
have
my
ex
god.
TSM. And I was like, gosh dang it.
He actually
He
how old's your little brother again?
14, 15.
He's 15 and he's cooking you like that in real life.
No, he even said it worse. He looked at me and was like, "Yeah, it's. I think the reason Lena's struggling with Sen is because Reggie's not around to abuse her verbally." And I was like,
Oh my god.
"You are the worst person. I can't stand you." Like I was like telling him, like, "Bro, why are you just cooking me? Like, what is the point of this?" And he was like, "I don't know." He was like, "You don't have a Valorant team, so it's kind of funny." And I was like, "Shut up." And he even was like telling me how you don't even have a league team right now. Like,
Bro, your
I
brother
was like,
cooked you hard.
yeah, he was coming at me a
Holy
little bit, but
shit.
that's okay. That's okay. We probably won't have a league team this year, and I've honestly accepted TSM is dead. Like,
That's the hilarious part. Like they left the LCS and like said they were going elsewhere. We've heard no rumors of that whatsoever. We have no clue where they're
yeah.
going, what they're doing, or anything. Like they've been radio silent, which is just
The
odd.
weirdest part is my brother loves TSM's Apex team. Like, loves it. And that's the only thing he'll cheer for TSM on. He bought a Hal jersey, but he like looks at me all the time and like reminds me. He's like, I'm just reminding you, like when Hal leaves them, I will be too. Like he tells me that all the time, and he talks about how Sun Hal will happen one day, and I'm like, it won't because you
It
don't
will
have
not,
money,
no.
and that's what I tell him all the time. I'm just like, well, you guys are too broke, and I'm like, that's the problem, and he gets so mad, but it's like it's the endless debate for us, and I guess I'll get back because I was supposed to be talking about
No,
EG.
you're fine.
Like
I don't give a
EG is
shit.
kind of one of those like everyone I know in Valorant hates them, not enjoying them is what it is. And then I was surprised the league scene took a bit more of a like it seemed like a reminiscent approach. Like we all walked down memory lane together and we're like, look at all these things that were kind of fun. And don't you feel bad for the people that lose their jobs? And I was like, yes, I do, because it's a little different than TSM. I get that. Like we sold our team, so our guys have a chance to stay like employed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of easier to be hard on the org because you can attack the org because nobody's hurt from it, you know?
Yeah.
Like we sold a slot. Nobody's hurt at the end of the day. Everybody can eat still. It's okay. With the EG thing, I kind of get why people weren't as hard on them because it's hard to be like sitting there like I'm only laughing because like it's crazy what they did because I was thinking of
Yeah.
it. I was about to say like it's hard to look at them and be like, hey, how do you feel destroying a person who turns out they're autistic's whole mentality and annihilating their life? Like that's what you did. It's hard to say that to somebody when they just got fired
Yeah.
from their job and it really isn't their fault. Like I don't think all the people in
No,
EG had a
95% of the
hand
people
in
that
destroying
lost their
Danny.
jobs have nothing to do with it and like
Yeah,
would have been advocates for change. It's just like the
yeah,
top 5% that like problems got reported up to them and they were just either fucking ignored or pushed off to the side. That's just like that
yeah,
the I think Azale kind of set the tone. Like everything you said is true. I think the reason why the social media backlash was not as heavy was because of Azale, who was very much like the forefront of like fuck TSM
yeah.
animosity and
Still got
hatred.
some beef with
And because he was on EG and because he
him.
was part of their World of Warcraft team and won a
Mhm.
world championship with them and like has history, like for him, that level of pain that you had with TSM is there. And
Yeah,
his approach is going to be more measured. So there's no longer that lightning rod of hate.
they called them pioneers.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It, I agree that I still think it's tough, and I guess this is a good way to segue it into like talk about like the league and everything else there. Oh wait, did somebody just? Okay, Immortals just announced Ole right now officially.
Oh, Man, Charlie's sitting here typing
Yeah, no, wait.
and working. This dude's crazy.
That's actually a sick graphic though.
That is pretty sick.
Okay, Charlie, I see you in chat, listening to the podcast and just casually dropping shit.
Yeah, casually running a brand for an esports team.
Now that's one where you put progressive on the tweet. Yeah, there we go. It's like the oh god, I sounded like Peter Griffin. The episode where he's trying to like fuck with the
Bro, he's still
opposing.
in here. Charlie just posted again. He's literally got us on like the fourth monitor in the background while he's working.
That's hilarious.
He's a dog.
Oh my god. But no,
He's so good.
I fucking love Charlie. Holy shit. I forget where I was going entirely. Something about us being down two teams. Oh, we're shifting over to like conversation around the LCS. Oh god, we're literally on the fourth monitor. What's your take on it? I've kind of made mine known. I made a video about it this morning of like where I stand, but are you okay with it being 8 teams? Do you want to see that changed at all? Like, you've been watching League for longer than I have. You've been watching since there was 8 teams in the league. So this is foreign to me, but this is obviously getting back to something for you. What's the feeling?
I feel pretty good about it. Like, I actually like it because it condenses you down to like you really have to try hard. Like, the one thing about the olden days, like, there was definitely still like really bad teams, but I felt like more teams had a shot kind of at punching up, and there was kind of a chance. But for them to be more upsetty, I guess. And I mean, in general, when you have less teams spread out, the talent pool has to squeeze. So the better players are all getting on rosters. There can be more changes, which I know is probably bad because people lose their jobs, and I'm sorry. But there can be more changes to get like, oh, roster's not working. Well, let's go grab this top laner who's actually a pretty good top laner like now. Because with 10 teams, Solo was being tossed around a lot. You know what I mean? Because Solo was he's pretty good and he's a free agent. Right now, like, who's our top lane pool that doesn't have a team? It's like Surdy, Revenge, Bika's a free agent right now.
Licorice
And like,
is a free agent right now.
yeah, Licorice. Like, think about that. If anybody's having problems, they have an easy pivot. Super simple pivot. Like, you could even keep 2 on the roster if you wanted. But I loved that about old league. Like, you'd see a lot more changes. I mean, even back then, like, teams were just doing what they had to try to win, and they could make changes pretty fast and on the fly. It's going to be different now, and it's definitely not going to be as tenacity. I forgot tenacity, but it's going to be different because it's not going to be as, what would you call it? Like, it's still not grassroots, right? Like, the olden days, that's what people had nostalgia for. It wasn't 8 teams that made it nostalgia. It was grassroots. But cost is down. I mean, the production is going to be something else. Everybody's part-time. And we'll see. If they move to best of 3s, now would be the time to do it. Like, it really wouldn't hurt.
I think you need to. Because I look back at the format of what it was last time it was 8 teams and it was like quadruple round robin. That's not going to be fucking entertaining. That many best of 1s is going to be tragic. So no, like that better not happen. They better swap to best of 3s or some other different format. I know we are getting a format change announcement. We know that we're going to 3 splits. That was already confirmed last offseason. I don't know what else is coming from there. Evie like kind of teased it a little bit whenever I tweeted about like Pastry Time and the others getting reduced hours, but he didn't say what it was. Yeah. So we'll see. Pastry Time did of note say that we shouldn't read too much into people getting their hours reduced. But I don't see how you don't. Like that let me pull up his response.
Yeah. So I don't.
I just want to make sure I'm not fully talking out of my ass.
I guess like I know, I don't guess. I don't know. I mean, right now in general, like LCS cutting back doesn't really kill me because this is just how it is when you're in an economic time, and especially when you're at Riot's age length in esports.
Yeah.
Which do you have the tweet up?
Yeah, I got the tweet up. He said, I said several staff being laid off. What has me confused? What major changes are coming? He said, not that deep IMO, at least from my perspective. I was already a freelancer this year. Now I'm just even more so. I have to assume in my case, it's just a desire to reduce cost, some being budgets, or some because budgets are presumably tighter, which to a certain extent does make sense because budgets
Yeah.
are definitely going to be tighter this year as ad revenue drops from
Hmm.
sponsorships in the league. So you're going to have less money to play around and work with.
Yeah.
But you can't just cut out the amount of content that they're doing. You could reduce it a tiny bit, but not that much. And they're reducing a lot of. It seems like just all around making cuts. It's like
Yeah.
I don't think you can get away with that and not have people see this as like scaling back to prep for the end. Like you have to
Yeah.
spend money to make money. As weird like
Yeah.
not in a like reckless way like we have been, but you do need to spend some money on content, on different activations, on a
Hmm.
bunch of our stuff to make sure that you are growing a fan base and giving them something to believe in.
Well, it's also like also I noticed Khan is back. I haven't seen talk to Khan in a while. It's just
Neither have
nice to
I.
see Khan around. But either way, um it is like that time of esports in general is cutting back the fluff and they're trying to trim the fat. And we see it with LPL broadcast. The English broadcast
Yeah.
is being cut more than likely. And it is a age cycle. A lot of big companies move in times, like 10 years, 15, whatever, down the road. 5, 10 year, 15 plan. And in the army, we call it like the 20-meter target, 100 and the 200. But it's just how it goes. And sadly, I mean, it's gonna suck. People are gonna lose their jobs. That is a terrible part of it. But right now, you're 13 years old as an esport. You've had your at least with worlds, like you've had 13 worlds. If something isn't profitable, then they're either cutting it if there isn't a real plan to make it profitable, or they're going to like start instituting everything they can to make it profitable.
Yeah.
So it's probably a thing of LPL broadcast didn't have enough viewers, which I watched it a lot, and it was usually in the 6K range, like on YouTube at least, and Twitch it was like sometimes hitting 20s, and that's just not enough to
No.
convince them probably that it's worth doing. And I don't know how much they were paying. Maybe it was worth it and they were profitable. But if you're not making much money too, they're just gonna cut it because they have other stuff to do.
And here's the
Like,
thing. If you know that Dom is pot like not to put on corporate greed helmet here, but like just thinking through this because I forget
true.
who tweeted. I think it was Munchables or Veteran. I think Veteran tweeted this actually, but he warned Dom. He's like, "Bro, you offering to fund it is exactly what
Yeah.
they are anticipating because they know that you're still gonna watch. They know that,
Yep.
quite frankly, they don't need an English broadcast because you're gonna watch it anyways and be the hub for the English fans."
Yeah.
So what's the point in us funding an English broadcast that nobody's gonna watch when they're gonna watch the co-streamers anyways?
Which is funny because originally you were pretty anti co-streaming because you were like, man,
Well,
it's bad for sponsors and all this. Like, I'm not saying it in a bad way.
yeah,
You kind of foresaw, I even indirectly, I don't think you were meaning it in this way, but indirectly, this is how it's playing out now. Is you were like, sponsors are gonna leave because there's less viewers watching the thing, they're watching the co-stream. So if they're not watching main broadcast, they're watching a co-stream, and Riot goes, oh, we don't have to pay somebody to manage LPL English broadcasts like ads and revenue, make sure it's running okay, like all of that. You get to cut out probably a chunk of work for your finance guy, you get to cut out a chunk of work for your ad person. There's so many different people you could take out work on, lower their load and push them somewhere else to do bigger and better things in your mind.
yep.
So That's probably what they're seeing. And on top of it, you don't lose your English LPL broadcast group because they're all just going to do exactly what you just said. They're going to go to Dom stream.
Yep. Which now creates a potential issue. Like it
Mm-hmm.
creates the Valorant problem of now you are entirely relying upon Dom. Which, to be fair, I trust Dom. Like I know that he loves the
Yeah.
LPL. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. So like you're in good hands there. It's not like for Tarek and others, like if somebody comes up with like another competitive first person shooter, like there's a chance he could go elsewhere and then like you're really cucked. But like for League, I think ultimately it is fine being in his hands, but
Hmm.
the what if LPL doesn't want to give Dom rights to English streams? Then the LPL is just focusing on themselves and saying fucking English viewers, we only care about Chinese viewers. And in that case, they're perfectly entitled to that because they see more of an opportunity there and they don't care about the international audience. That's perfectly fine if they ultimately want to go that way. Is that good for us? No, because you lose visibility on one of the best leagues in the world, obviously. But if that's the decision that they want to make and they're ultimately a sustainable product on their own, they can. And that's their call. That's their choice entirely. Do I think they will? No. I think they're going to let Dom co-stream and Dom will just be the English head of it. But what I do not think is going to happen, despite Dom offering, I don't think they're going to let Dom set up the English broadcast and like pay talent and pay all that.
Yeah, they probably won't. I mean, if we're being honest, they might, but I don't know if they will. Like, and come on, Healy. I know he's joking, saying they can't get it done at the big tournament, so they go into hibernation. They've won 2 MSIs though, back to back.
MSI ain't worlds,
Like,
brother.
I know it isn't, but you got to be kidding. If we won MSI, we'd be acting like it was. Like, you know it. Europe still holds MSI in high regard. Who cares about MSI? It's Europe's only title
Yeah.
that they
And
still
I'm
brag
sorry.
about, other than their world's title, and it was just NA and EU.
I also think like MSI this year was like it's not Worlds, obviously. Like if Worlds is 100%, MSI is definitely still
No,
around like 80, but it's better than the 50% that it used to be.
that's whack. MSI is the spring of internationals. It doesn't matter. So all of Cloud9's latest titles don't matter. They suck in summer, so that is a good
They
point.
did
I
what
like where we're going.
they did win summer last year though. So they have won.
Yeah, but I kind of like where we're going here because it's kind of good, you know? I kind of like the thought of half of Cloud9's titles not mattering.
Are half of their
But
titles really summer or
I know
spring?
they would back in the day, they won spring all the time. And
And
then they'd lose summer.
they
Think
won
about it. They'd always,
2020 spring, 2021 spring. Or no, they did not win 2021 spring. Did they? You know, they won 2020 spring, 2021 spring. 2022 summer was
them, right?
no, 2021 summer was somebody else, wasn't it? Perks only won
I thought
one.
it was
No, he only won one. They won spring, but they didn't win summer. Who won? Oh, we won summer. 100
Perks
Thieves.
wasn't
Yeah, we 100 Thieves won.
2021.
Yeah. That was
Yeah, but
the closer year.
they won last year's summer, right?
Yeah. So like of their last 4 titles, 3 of them were spring.
Yeah, I like that. I like those odds.
So spring doesn't matter then. This is what you're saying.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because then most of their titles don't matter. And that's funny, isn't it?
They didn't make it to Worlds with C9, right? Yeah, they did. Or with Perks?
With
Yeah, they did.
perks,
They made it out
they
of
did.
groups. That was the whole 2 and 4 still
No,
made it
yeah, but
out bullshit.
it was the miracle week 2 run to quarters, the miracle week 2 run.
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
I mean, it literally was a miracle. The fact that they had
Yeah.
to have every single thing go in their favor, and it did. But no, I think MSI matters like 80% relative to
I'll
Worlds being
say,
100.
I think people being able to watch LPL is still beneficial for the West.
Yeah, absolutely. And having
But
Dom and Cadril do it is like at least in my eyes, like more
oh
than
yeah,
enough. Like the thing that we have to realize
no,
is
for
that like
sure,
the people
it's
that are
more than
really
enough.
mad about the English broadcast being left out are like the people that were diehard like fans of the LPL,
Hmm.
but it's also not the majority base of the LPL, which again, you should not be like you should never ever like start chipping away at your audience just because you are altruistic about like your base. That should never happen because then once your base goes away, you're cucked. So if they were cutting out the broadcast in English with nowhere else to go, fine. But they're not. It'll just go to Dom and it'll ultimately be fine and Dom will see benefit of it. So
Dom and
and
Casual,
casual.
like
Yeah.
that, they were like viewership is not good of LPL English,
No.
or it just hasn't been. It's okay, but it's not enough to warrant like anything more than probably paying two people. You know what I mean? One guy to watch the to move the map around the camera, and one guy to talk over it. Like that's about all you're gonna pay, because 6K viewers is basically that two people max that you can afford.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like
But
it was the LPL broadcast growing? Yes, it was steadily.
mhm,
But they'll never be able to do the numbers that Dom and Cage will do. Ever.
yeah, and it's sad because the people who are gonna lose money, it's really unfortunate about like, or who are gonna lose their job. Like they were really good casters on LPL English, but I don't know. It's kind of just part of the deal right now. Everything's cutting. Everything's trying to get into a uh like self-sustainable area.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Riot is tired of footing the bill for things.
Yep.
So they're probably trying to make things be self-sustainable. And if they do an analysis, because they're gonna do a budget analysis of
Yep.
something before they cut it. They probably have a guy who did an analysis and he went, here's your path. Do you think it's feasible? And they went, probably not. And he went, yeah, I don't either. And then they went, okay, and they cut it. Like that's probably how that went, but a little bit longer and a lot more numbers. And, like,
I I would love to be able to talk about my job, but I can't.
yeah, yeah.
So
And big companies, and Riot Games is a pretty massive company. Like they they are not in a spot right now where like being, oh, that hurts, like that hurts to see him go is a thing. They're kind of at the spot where they say it hurts to see him go, HR says it, and then some guy up in the suite is going, yep, all right. Because he doesn't have anything else he can do about it. Like that's
I
just the way life goes.
yeah. The one that I found interesting uh is like the final kind of like broad topic and then we could go to T1 Worlds and then also just like anything else you want to chat about after this. Uh
Mhm.
I saw Colomer, who's like one of the guys that he coaches or manages Old Miss's esports program. Talked to him at LCS finals, and like he's a great guy. Talks about esports a lot on Twitter. When Croissant at NRG was promoted to Jonathan's old role and assuming the responsibility of two jobs for one, with
Mhm.
probably marginally higher salary. Uh, I can't say that I agree with the outrage there. That's the whole point of cost cutting.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I heard, and I didn't check with Myra or anybody else, I don't know if anybody got severance. It sounds like severance is not really a thing within esports all that much. So that is concerning to me. If you're not paying out, like if you're just firing people with no like runway afterwards, I think that's a dick move.
Yeah.
The consolidation of roles for a little bit more pay, but not the pay that like obviously they save from cutting that job. That's normal and would norm like that's how this stuff happens. We couldn't afford to be in the old system that we were in. So I don't see how that's problematic. I don't see where the outrage should be placed there. There shouldn't be any. That's the whole point is they're trying to save money. And yes, somebody is going to be taking additional responsibility. That's the whole point of all of this is that it wasn't sustainable and you need people to bust their ass in those roles and quite frankly work more hours. And is it fair? No, but like if we truly want this to work, it's going to have to happen. That's the demands of the market right now.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of just how it's been with all this cost cutting. A lot of people like want to blame the orgs that were making money. Like, to be clear, the three orgs that we're talking about that really pushed salaries up was C9, TSM, TL, right?
And
All of them
Immortals.
were financial, yeah, Immortals too. Other than Immortals, the other three were pretty financially stable through that. They were still stable. Like, they were figuring it out and still bringing in money and not having to go broke, which people can say like, "Oh man, that really killed the league because the bottom leagues couldn't teams couldn't figure it out." At that point, you can't really blame your owners and surrounding orgs, because that kind of falls on whoever the league commissioner was would have had to make a salary cap if they really viewed it as a problem that needed to be like stopped. If that was something that was absolutely awful. So because that didn't happen, other orgs who couldn't afford it tried to do some things to make it happen, didn't work, and now we're here with what you're saying, where cost cutting is happening for orgs that realized just how little they were really going to pull in when things got bad. And COVID kind of gave us a run that was pretty fake and was pumping viewership in a way that didn't really make sense to people. And some people looked at it, and instead of realizing, hey, this is going to go away, they thought the money printer would just keep going, and it didn't. And voila, jobs have to be kind of cut down. Nobody actually tried to make a salary cap slash union happen, like Donut is saying.
Oh,
Like,
I'm about to go
none
in
of
on
that.
that.
Yeah, none of that succeeded. So at this point, we're in the healthy area where, you were at the, what is it? This could never fail stage. You were at that stage during COVID. This can't fail. This is the greatest idea we've ever had. We went through the disbelief phase of like, oh, what's happening? Like, I can't believe that we're running out of money. What's going on? This is somebody's fault. To the acceptance stage where you have to be like, oh, I viewed this with rose-colored glasses, and that is not how it's gonna work out, eh? So now they're all trying to figure out how to make something that can actually last for 30 years. So it's healthy. It's healthy. But I'll let you. It
what
seems.
would be
Yeah.
really healthy?
What?
I saw messages about this in chat earlier about how, is there a possibility that like players would go on strike because two teams dropped and it cost 10 people their jobs, and if you were outraged at Academy, you in theory should be outraged about this, and people should go on strike because of it. And motherfuckers, you've had six. I pulled this out. Fuck it. I don't even care. You had 6 months since that strike to unionize. You did not. We warned you. I have been very, very explicit and very clear that you needed to take the steps to become a union yesterday. You didn't. And now you're reaping the rewards of that. This is entirely not the decisions to cut teams, obviously, were out of your control. And like Riot Global leadership and all them are going to ultimately be the ones that handle everything there. You not unionizing and every repercussion from that walkout on is entirely on you now. You've known what you had to do. You have the resources to do it. It's on you. That's it. The LCSPA can't do shit. They have no power. It is just
Yeah.
words. They can try and say that they're going to go into a boardroom and like have these conversations and like be productive and help out. They can't do shit. The only people with power in this situation to actually affect change are the players themselves taking tangible action and unionizing. Walking out will kill the LCS. You try and do that shit again, you're
Yeah.
literally going to not come back to being able to have jobs. And Riot knows that. And Riot, at this point, I doubt Riot fucking cares all that much. Like, you have to unionize and force Riot's hand at a collective bargaining agreement, which, quite frankly, I think Riot's going to welcome. I don't think you're going to get everything that you want. I think teams would be more, from what I hear, teams would be more than happy to have a collective bargaining agreement in place.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't have that, this shit's going to keep happening. So, fucking unionize. Get your shit together. Contact lawyers that already exist within the space that you know can do it, and unionize. That's it. It's as simple as that. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, and unless they do that, it's just gonna. I mean, it can't get, I guess, much worse because teams can't, like you can't go much lower than 8 teams in the league. But it would bail them out for the future, especially because I guarantee you at some point in the next 5 to 10 years they're gonna want to add 2 more back. It's not gonna be 8 teams forever.
No,
So
I
you
don't think
have
so.
to unionize at some point, and you have to get that ready. And at the same time, the people who lost their jobs, like the players, right? They're gonna have to put in, and I know it sucks, but they're gonna have to put in overtime to build the amateur scene, and not build it with the help of Riot. Like you gotta go the full like K core route
Yep.
almost. Like you gotta want to build it on your own. You gotta find an org like DSG is probably gonna be the one. Like it's gonna be up to them, and they're gonna have to find a way to build grassroots tourneys that actually get people who care. So
I don't know. I just
I
think a collective bargaining agreement would be the single best thing that could possibly happen to LCS, barring Premier. And like the two things I've talked about, like Premier mode needs to come into the game, and uh, we need LCS fan hubs around the US to try and start building that local grassroots fandom that K Corp has. Like that
Mhm.
has to happen. But beyond that, fucking a CBA would just be so nice. Public player salaries that would, and like you're able to set much more specific terms with Riot, with
Yeah.
teams, with players that just it flushes out the entire ecosystem. Are there still going to be problems? Of course. Unions are perfect. They never have been, they never will be. But they just add a layer of protection that does not exist otherwise. At some point, players
Yeah.
will finally get it, and I pray to God it's now before it's too late.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be really important that they put it together because right now it's getting dicey. It's been getting dicey, but losing 2 teams incredibly dicey, especially with like as much as I was saying the consolidation of talent is great from a competitive aspect, it's gonna be tough because there's less spots, especially the fact we don't have an amateur scene really anymore,
Yep.
one that's popular. It's gonna take a lot of like hard effort now, and sadly they didn't at all retain all the people they gained over the years. Like the old league of like way back in the day where you're getting like 500K viewers for a regular season match, right? Or 300K for the rivalry matches. Like it's not gonna happen for a while unless they start really digging in, really working on building fan bases, and you really got to work on getting people to actually want to talk to each other
Yep.
about the game outside of just like watching. You got to get them into it as like a whole thing because going to games is a big deal in America. Like it's
Oh,
just what helps
it's
build
so
America.
big.
Well, it builds it anywhere, really. I'm saying that like it's not big anywhere, but
Culturally, it's
the
more meaningful
China
for
figured,
us.
yeah, yeah, and Europe has. I mean, I was shown like plane tickets over there. A lot more feasible to get to Germany over there to watch a game with their transit system than it is over here. Like right now, it's it's gonna be tough to get people. Like you're even seeing it in the chat. Like people don't believe we'll ever get back to those levels, and we might not. They could be right, but if you do want to get back there, and that's ultimately the goal of every team, like you have to get out of just the LA bubble.
You have to. It's the only way. Did you
And
see the
LA
video
bubble
that I
is low
tweeted of
key
Rocket
why
League
they.
yesterday?
Yes, yes. A high school doing that? Was that a high
Yeah,
school or
that
a
was a high school
college?
match.
That's crazy. Like the thing is the LA mindset is like it's a bubble. Like it's a legitimate bubble.
Yep.
So they're not going to see anybody else as needing to go, or they're just gonna be like, just come down here. It's one of the nicest places to be. But like not hitting the road and not getting, some of the grit of the Midwest, not going up north and getting some of the like we haven't seen the sun in 6 months attitude FU level of crazy. Like
Yep.
you kind of need those people to help form your league. Like you need that. Like the trash talk doesn't even work in LCS because LA people don't do that.
Yeah.
Like most Lakers fans who actually talk trash aren't from LA.
Yep.
They just
That
aren't.
gymnasium had more people in it than I think the entirety of summer might have had in the LCS arena.
Mhm.
And they were going nuts watching it on a fucking projector screen on a wall.
Yep.
Like, you don't, like, that's the biggest thing. And Con touched on it. Like, you don't have to have this perfect quality production. You
Yeah, yeah.
really don't. And especially if we go
No.
remote this year, there is
Oh, yeah.
zero excuse. That I mentioned it in my video. You really should be sending the broadcast around the US. Players don't
Yeah.
have to play around there. That's fine. Players can play like in their facilities for like the first 2 years as we build this. But like, I really do think you need to send the broadcast around where like one weekend they're in New York and you're watching games with fans and like you're watching it on bars and in TVs and stuff like that. And like that to me is fun. You add that studio feel to it where
Yeah.
like you don't you don't have to be where games are played anymore. You can produce content out there and like like think about how drastically that changes LCS content. Where now you might be in like similar to the Pat McAfee show. You have a central hub that you're in, that you start in,
Mhm.
and then you fly out on Friday and do like a pregame show and podcast and shit and show to like hype it up. And then the next day, like you're watching games there.
Yeah.
Like, or even if you just do it on
I
like Saturday, Sunday and like start it a little bit early, like fine, do whatever you want, but just like film content out there, be engaging with the audience, like 1v1s to, give away money for like you have to follow the college game day formula. They get it
yeah.
better than anybody else in the world. They get it.
I do think though, like players, in my mind, they do have to be there.
I don't think they do
Like
yet.
I know, like it wouldn't kill it, but I do think like having the players there, like adds another level, and more than like just having players there for fans, it's the players getting to see the fans, like having that built into your head of, oh, this means something to them. Like that's important, you know what I mean? Like that's why college football is so good in America. That's why like NFL football is so good. Like NFL dominates because the players go out there and they just throw their bodies around for human beings who will just freak out about it and they care so much. Like that's what makes it great. And I just feel like we don't have that right now, and that's the only way to get Americans to buy in. Like Asia can do what they do, right? Like Korea doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't really matter for Korea. They're still popular. It's still a growing game. But like China did need that. And China realized that early and they got on it. And LPL figured it out. Granted, it helped that they have crazy money.
Yeah.
Like that helped, but we had that time of crazy money and we got comfortable. To be honest, we got
Oh, we
comfortable
got so comfortable. We rested on our
and we just
laurels
thought
so
it would
hard.
keep going and we didn't jump on it. Like when China got that crazy money, they took it and instead of building a bunch of facilities in LA, like the farthest corner of America you could pick from most of the population, like they they were like, hey, we should go build out in America. We need to go get teams out there. Not the way like Overwatch League was doing it. I get it, theirs was unsustainable.
Yep.
Like you gotta kind of go and you got to get people cooking in all these other places because right now it's just, yeah, it's kind, I mean, it's almost too late now. I get that, but it would have been great because like I remember when they did their like packs, they did one of their quarterfinals in PAX. That was electric, and people were sitting on chairs, foldable chairs,
Yeah.
and that place was packed out. Like, people will come and watch. It doesn't have to be a sick setup. It just has to be a fun time. And Americans are all about a fun time.
That's my other thing.
Like,
We should also be having weekly like LCS matches at PAX at these events. Like you
oh, for
need
sure.
you need to market your game. And
I'm
the
sure
whole point
they'd
of our
love to have LCS come too.
I know they would because it'd be a
Yeah.
massive boost. And like you have to get out of this bubble
See
of
that comment?
which one?
Your watch party?
Probably um
Oh,
not a fair comparison, I will say. Like that
yeah,
let's be
but
honest. It's a watch like the accurate comparison is my watch parties in New York during the regular season versus LCS, to which we had maybe 10, 15
yeah.
people.
But it is an important thing to note, in my opinion, that you being able to hold a watch party for World's Finals at 3 a.m. and get more people to come out than like them being able to get that many people to come for a regular season game shows where we're at.
I, I'm,
You
I,
got to be able to get people to show up.
be-
I know you can't,
yeah. I
like,
just want to
you
dispute
can't.
Khan's point specifically. Khan, the reason why it's not fair is because I do have a direct comparison point. I host watch parties on days where LCS is on.
Yeah, yeah.
So like that is a fair comparison. If I was getting more people showing up there
Mhm.
than in the studio, sure. But World's Finals in a moment where we've historically had these, like that to me is not fair to compare to the LCS. It's not. Now, is that taking away from the fact that we should be doing more like this? And if the LCS gave me resources, I'd be able to we'd be able to
Mhm.
do stuff like this on a weekly basis for League here in New York City? Absolutely. But 3 a.m. is also
New York City is a different
we
breed.
are
3
built
a.m.
different.
isn't that
3
wild.
a.m. is
Yeah,
different here than anywhere else, where it's like
yeah,
it is not abnormal for people to go out and do shit from 3 until 8 in the morning.
yeah.
Like that's it's different.
Well, the
I
teams that aren't even in A, there's more T1 fans probably than a lot of
there were
in
a ton of Weibo
Yeah.
fans.
Really?
The JDG Jio chants or whatever the
Mhm.
I'm butchering the pronunciation of that. I'm so sorry, but
Yeah.
like there were several of those throughout the night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like that. But that's the thing is like you're also not going to get some of those people to show up for LCS because they haven't been given a reason to come watch the LCS. I can promise you, it is an entirely different crowd from when I host LCS watch parties to this World's
Mhm.
watch party. I was able to get a whole bunch of people. The atmosphere was insane. It was great. And by all means, I'm appreciative of everybody that comes out to every individual event that I host. But my goal is to
Yeah.
get the LCS watch parties to look like that. And we are still a
Yep.
long way from getting that there.
Yep. And
It's like
yeah.
we have a lot of work to do. And I think
Mhm.
weekends definitely helps. If I can host these watch parties on weekends, I promise you I get more fucking people. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just want to see resources invested. Because
Mhm.
before I go into this, is there anything else you want to talk about besides like me closing it out with like New York City stuff?
Oh, in League? Not really. I mean, no, because really all I've been waiting for. I know I should be following more stuff, but I am starting to get a little more nervous that I should be that.
TSM
TSM
stuff.
doesn't
Yeah.
have a peak team.
I just don't I don't think you're going to next year, being honest. I think it'll
I
be a
don't
year
either.
after.
It's worrying me.
But the point that I want to wrap up this entire thing on, in regards to the World's Finals watch party, first and foremost, again, thank you to every single person that came out. We filled up the entire venue to capacity to the point where midway through game one, myself and Brian, who was like the guy overseeing everything for the night there, he had to tell the bartender like stop, like nobody else comes in. Luckily, we got everybody in. There were a few more people afterwards that came in that like we were able to like find spots to make it work. But like, had we had another rush of people come in, we wouldn't have been able to handle it. We weren't like I was blasting it. We were expecting like 250 people ish. I never got a head count. I don't know how many were there. All I know is if you watch the videos that I put out on Twitter, you watch the opening ceremony, like there's a whole back area that we ended up filling to the point where it's standing room only. Every PC we had to turn on to Worlds uh, just so that people had a spot to watch. Like we made sure, and to be, we had water everywhere. I was passing out free. We had League of Legends Coca-Colas that were still there.
Mhm.
We were giving out drinks to anybody that wanted them. Like I was like,
It's awesome.
what pissed me off beforehand was there was somebody that was like, no food or drinks or anything when you're there. It's like, one, the venue's not responsible for keeping their kitchen open that late. It's not normal to have a kitchen open at 3 a.m. It's just
Mhm.
not. And given that we didn't know, like, even if you have 250 people sign up, you don't know if 250 people are going to show up. And that late at night, it's best to just have the bar open, which the bar was open until 3:45, and then they cut it off because that's the law here in New York. Uh,
Mhm.
but we had water, we had drinks, we had everything. Like I was doing everything I could to make sure people had a good time. And I just can't provide catering for that many people. I'm not going to pay for catering assuming 100 people might come whenever there's tickets saying 250. And the kitchen was
Mhm.
going to open at 8 o'clock after game 3 when uh when the fucking when the series would have kept going on, and there would have been breakfast later in the morning as their staff came in the morning. But the series just didn't last long enough. But like we busted our ass, we did everything. Massive thanks to the staff there that helped put it on. But that should show Riot. It should show everybody that there's local fandom to be had here. People want to go to these events. They like everybody that I talked to loved that it was going on. Even the people that like might not have had the best view, they got there a little bit later, were watching on like computer screens and shit like that. Like I feel bad that we don't have like the optimal setup to be able to handle 400 people, but that's the nature of like the first time doing this. I can't pay a facility fee to rent something out. This is just me asking if somebody's willing to host us. But like if you're Riot next year for Worlds, even if it's in China, see if you can get a theater. See if you can do these things because I promise you, I'll be able to push it and I can get you that crowd
Mhm.
there as much as I possibly can. And they'll buy drinks, they'll buy snacks, they'll buy popcorn. Like that's how you feed into this shit. That was a like it was a wake up call for me to a certain extent to like fully understand and realize that there is a viable pathway here to growing the LCS and to growing League of Legends here in North America, and it's all done through in-person activations. We have the crowd to do so here in New York City. We can make that happen. And I would encourage anybody that's listening to this, if you're from Houston or Miami or Charlotte or any city where you think that there might be LCS fans, reach out to a few venues, reach out to the PC cafes, see if they'll be willing to host you and just put it on. And then blast it
Yeah.
out there, send it to me, I will promote it for you. I will put it on my Twitter, I'll put it on TikTok, I'll put it on YouTube. I will make sure that people see it so that we can hopefully drive you fans. And again, just a reminder, we had 2 watch parties this year for the LCS that I did the same amount of promotion I was doing here, and it was myself and one other person. There will be times where you only have one other person there, and that's fine. You still push anyways.
Yep.
Because if I gave up after that, what happened here would not be possible. So you have
Yeah.
to keep pushing and it will grow. That's it. That's all I got to say.
That's a pretty solid monologue. And I think that Worlds was great for you because it really capped off a lot of your effort, like all the work you've put in to get the New York scene kind of going, and hopefully it keeps growing, and hopefully we can translate it to LCS.
I hope so. We'll see next year. We got to wait to see what the massive announcements are with format and everything else.
It,
If we go back to weekends, I'm as optimistic as ever. I think we can make it happen.
oh, IMT just leaked, or their guy got leaked.
Who?
Their top laner is a Korean academy player named Castle. Don't.
Oh,
Charlie is
no.
listening. Don't you do that.
Oh,
Don't.
no. Wait. Okay, before I
They no, I will say before they you get upset,
No, what
they
I
were
want to see.
talking to Licorice,
Okay.
and they locked this guy in to a contract before GGS got left the league. So they were gonna go with Licorice, but now they're locked with this guy. And they're honoring it, I assume. Because it's all verbals.
But they couldn't
So I
have.
assume they're
But they couldn't have signed it until yesterday, and Licorice announced on
No,
Sunday.
I'm saying they probably had a verbal agreement
Yeah.
and they honored it, even though they could have switched to Licorice.
Uh,
They probably just did the honorable move. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Or they really liked him. I mean, he could be really good.
he's 21 years old, out of KT Rolster Academy.
He played with Noah and Vikla.
He played with who?
He's played with Noah and Vikla on
Noah
KT
looked
Rolster
decent.
Academy.
Vikla
Noah's pretty good. Vikla didn't pan out, but
didn't pan out, but I mean, here's the thing. Like, that's the type of import that I'm fine with. I'd rather that than
100%.
bringing over fucking Umti and Closer. Like, these are the types of imports that that at least in my eyes, you take a little bit more of a chance on, and just hopefully they've done their homework and he understands what he's coming into. Because what I don't want to fucking see is, I don't want to see another Vikla situation where he comes in for a year and dips.
Yep.
If it's a Berserker situation, then great. Like, you get those talents to come in and they become the face of the LCS and they're fun to watch and it's incredible and we're giving them opportunities because there's just not enough spots in the LCK. That's fine. But you can't.
That'd be crazy if they picked up Reaper as their coach.
So it'd be what? Castle, who's their jungler?
Armeo.
Castle, Armeo, Mask, Tactical, Ole.
Yeah, it's a pretty good mix of rookies and not rookies.
That's not bad.
To be fair to them, there's probably a lot of junglers available if our man doesn't work out.
There are. The question is, does anybody want to go to him?
I mean, if you see him playing bad but the roster looks good, I'd take it.
But I mean, if you're like, now I think is when we're gonna find out like the true like caliber of our top players, like Spica and Revenge and Licorice and everybody else. Is like, come summer, if an opportunity comes up for 70 grand or like minimum salary to play in the LCS on these teams, are you taking it?
I want to see like Spica tenacity, like Stixay on DSG. And I just want to see them like curb stuff.
No, you know what? I would like to see them go over to an LFL team. I would like to see. Cool, I would like to see like 5 North American players. Do you have enough for a roster to fill out? Assuming APA doesn't get a spot here because of the closer rumor, you could go Revenge or Tenacity, Spica, APA. Assuming Double If goes to TL, Yawn is now entirely open, but Sven is also open as well.
Stixay is also open.
Stixay, so you could slot in Stixay. Support.
Yeah.
I don't know who you. Yeah, Stixay, Tomo. Like, support. There's got to be one. Yeah, Treats.
Usual.
There you go. You take Treats, so you have a European player there. You all go over to the LFL. And you compete as you get somebody to take a chance on a North American squad.
Are they allowed to do that, to import that much in LFL?
But that's on what, like, maybe you could get.
Oh yeah, Chime.
Oh, Chime is perfect.
Chime would be fun over there. Poom. Chime would be great though.
Okay. Well, apparently there might be, even if there is some sort of import rule, if we have I don't know, maybe you go to the LCK then.
Yeah.
Maybe you go, I don't know, you go somewhere where you can find it. I mean, Europe would be great. I don't know if it's like a by country thing from the ERL system. Okay, you need 2 French players. Damn it. So that causes a problem. But we have Sven.
It's fine.
We potentially have Sven and we have Treats. So we have 2 European players. I don't know. We'll see. I just hope they all have an academy team. Like you said, I hope Disguise Toast.
No, send them to Disguise. Yeah.
Just have Disguise be there and just absolutely.
But I'd rather Disguise Toast team not be vets. I'd rather it be,
That's true.
newer guys to actually get a brand. But
you need a mix. I think you go like
You do need a
I think you
mix.
go
You do need a
tenacity,
mix.
APA as like your two younger guys. You can have Spica as your
Yes.
veteran, and then whoever you want to go bot lane, go whoever. But like,
Get a prodigy for sport bot,
yeah,
or a prodigy for like. Do honestly, tenacity and APA being your veterans in academy would be really fun. Like
yeah.
that'd be a fun academy team, and then just like three prodigies and just watch them cook. Like
I just realized we never talked about this though. About do you think there should be promotion relegation from academy into the league with those two final spots?
I don't know how you'd make it look, but I think it would be sick if we had some weird like uh promotion relegation with the final two slots being like you go to them, you're not kicked out of the league, but you also I don't know how you'd make it work.
Here's how you do it.
Like there's just some weird gray
I've
area.
got no, I've got the perfect answer that I talked about on my video. 2024, this upcoming year, one team promotes automatically from Challenger. The winner of Challenger in summer
Mhm.
promotes. Spring, I'm sorry, not like it just is what it is. Like you won spring, congratulations. It's whatever. Summer, you promote. 2025, another team promotes. So you have two teams up there, but you're on 2-year deals for each team where both are guaranteed to be in the LCS for a 2-year stint. That allows you at least a little bit of longevity, the chance to experiment a little bit with your roster if you want, but you're in there for 2 years. At the end of that second year, so 2026, the team that wins challengers faces off against that team that is due for their basically re-promotion. You have to win that series against the team that won challengers to retain your
Mhm.
spot in the LCS, or the other team comes in and they're in for 2 years.
Yeah, but what happens with your slot? Like they take your payments, I guess.
What do you mean?
Like where do you go? Where do you go?
If you lose, you get demoted. You go to challenger.
Yeah, but that just can't work because we've already made them pay all this money.
No, 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 no. Only the two teams that promote up from the remaining
Oh,
two.
the two
The
teams
eight,
that promote.
yes,
Okay.
the 8 teams that are already in franchising are set. They're there.
Yeah,
But with the two remaining slots, you have them be 2-year stint
I see.
in the LCS,
Rotating. Yeah.
and there it's always like because by all means you could ultimately have the same 10 teams forever,
Yeah.
or you don't. But the point is
I
that
wonder
they have
though
to earn it.
who would take those two flip-flop slots. It'd be interesting because those also wouldn't be bad. Like if you think about it, like a dig org, right? Like dig would be an org I think of who maybe the other team that promoted starts to really build. I bet they could offer enough money to a dig to get them to take the flip-flop spot.
Exactly. And that's the thing is
Yeah.
like if people truly want to be in the league, ultimately like they'll find a way. They'll be there. Like Dig wants to sell out, well one of these teams that are currently on like a temporary contract, they'll get in. And then again, you'll have partners that you want to be there. Because you'll have
Yeah.
people within the league that are still waiting like, dude, I just wish I could get a full chance at this. I don't want to have to worry about it. I want to be here forever. And you'd have less flipping of the spots for profit and more like flipping of the spots to people that genuinely want to be there.
At that point, though, I think you'd have to wait till you can do like. Well, no, you can expand it as you go. Start with 2 slots, work your way to 4.
You could if you want to, but I don't think we have enough talent to like really get to
No,
4
yeah, for sure.
yet.
That's what I.
But
Yeah,
I think
that's why I was.
you get
Okay.
Premier in here, and maybe
Mhm,
eventually you look at merging CB low or something like that in here as well,
mhm.
kind of like how Valorant is like the Americas as a whole. Like then if you start combining the Americas, then yeah, I think ultimately we can get up to like 14 teams and be fine.
And then how does it sound? I like what they Donut said was if you're top 4, you don't face relegation. What if you're top 4, you add a year to the 2 years?
The problem is
You go to Worlds, you add a year.
but you possibly make a year irrelevant. Because if you extend a year, then what happens on that year that you've pushed off? What does the winner of challengers get? Nothing.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
can't fuck with that system. You need to make sure that Challengers has a direct path at all times to the LCS.
Well,
So
the
you
other
can't change
slot,
that.
right?
What?
The other slot, they could play for that slot
No, because they're guaranteed 2 years in the league. Like I want to make sure that the team that gets up there is guaranteed a certain amount of time.
every year.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I just mean like because it's gonna be two teams get the first 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And they're both synced,
No,
so
no,
it's just 2 years
they're
of waiting.
asynced. One comes up like I'm saying by the end of next year we
Oh,
only have
do
9
one
teams.
tourney for one,
Yep.
9. Okay,
So we only
then
have
do
one team
another
promote
tourney
next year and then one team promote the following
because
year
you got to
and
give them
then it kicks in.
something if they win. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
That's well you mean if they win the LCS as a whole?
Yeah, you can't make. You're really gonna make a team that wins LCS go play in a relegation tournament?
Here's what you do. If you're Riot Games, you award partnership at a discounted price. You give them the option to buy into the league if you win the LCS as a promotion relegation team.
And then you just
It's
move to
all it's
11
almost
slots.
never gonna to be clear, it's almost never gonna happen. Like
Yeah, it's probably
the
won't.
team that
It
promotes
probably won't.
in like is rarely that's almost never gonna happen.
Unless Disguise did it, he could. If he promoted, bro, he could probably build up the fan base
But
to low
is
key
he gonna be able to
make
get
that
like
journey.
okay, but like Cloud9's not gonna give it to like he's gonna break the bank to do so, and then he's gonna go bankrupt.
No, yeah, but I mean, who wouldn't want to play for Toast?
Why would I pick Toast over Cloud9?
I mean,
It's Cloud9, bro.
yeah, but Toast is so fun.
It's fun, but like it's Cloud9.
Yeah,
But I think that's a fair clause. Like if you win the LCS as a promotion relegation team, you get your owners get the chance to buy in because you've proven dedication and loyalty to this league, and like believing in players and building them up to a level that like you deserve to be recognized for it, and you could become a permanent partner in the league.
I think like
Or you want to get even more
low
technical, you
key.
force Dignitas to sell to him.
I think low key for Toast, like I think a player might get better turnover into streaming career by winning a title for Toast than any other team in LCS right now.
Yeah, probably.
I
Probably.
think that's maybe why they'd go over there.
All right, we are at 2 hours. I do want to wrap this
It's
up.
fair.
I just want to chill and play games. I will be live again on Friday playing TFT. For those that aren't aware, I'm in a break from League of Legends, not touching it until the next year. So if you're expecting us to talk about like preseason or any of the changes in the game, probably not going to happen until next year. But it sounds like we're going to have more than enough off-season drama to talk about at all times.
Charlie just said, "Oh, Champs Q is coming back." Waited until your outro. Drop a little nugget.
Champs Q is fucking irrelevant. The players aren't even going to play it anyway, so it doesn't matter at all.
Hey, maybe they will.
No, they
I won't make that
No, they
comment.
won't.
It's too soon, probably.
No,
But
fucking EMENES might be a dick, but he's not wrong about that one.
we
Champions
have a
Q will
lot.
die.
Is it too soon?
What?
Too soon. We do have a lot of players that will have a lot more.
Free time? Yeah.
Yeah, to play Champs Q. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
I'm not going to watch any of it,
No?
so it makes no difference
Dang.
for me. No.
That doesn't sell you on it?
No, I didn't watch it before. Why the fuck would I watch it now? Just like it's the same people that are in it now as that was before.
Yeah, that's true.
It makes no difference whatsoever.
At this point, I think they should just move all the servers to LA so they can now play solo queue.
No, they should just fucking keep it on Chicago and introduce Premiere. Premiere is all that matters.
True.
Anyways, that's it for us. We'll catch you all later. Thank you to, I think, like the 20-some concurrent that we've had. There's 13 on YouTube right now. There's 10 on Twitch. We were at like 17 on Twitch earlier. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you, by the way, to Jacob McCourt, to XD's Nuts, and Gotcha J for the follow throughout the stream. We're slowly working our way towards Twitch partner. And I can promise you this. If I hit 400 followers by the time that by the time the LCS starts this upcoming year and it's on weekends, I will co-stream every 100 Thieves match, whether it's from here or from the bar. I'm probably going to do it anyways, but I'm still going to tie it to the 400 as a way to do it. So anyways, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will catch you all later. Adios. Any final words, Paul?
Please get a team. Like, actually, that would be great.
I don't think so.
And I haven't picked a team yet. I'm still debating.
100 Thieves, my friend. You're down to 8. 2 of your choices are gone, so life is easy.
I mean, the 2 choices that I love. Come on.
Exactly. I know. But, all right, stream. We'll catch you later. Adios.